field to save a record. All right, now let's go back and check it out. Let's go back to our service app. Go to our properties. All right, and let's try and create one now. So now you see the little asterisk next to price. Can't say asterisk. All right, so this one we can call Charles's house. If I try to hit save, it says review the errors. Must fill out price. So let's say my house is worth $100,000. Now it lets us save it. And the price is there. And if we go look at the folder as a whole, you can see we have two properties. There now. Okay. All right, so it wanted us to create a record. We already created two. All right, so on to the challenge. We're all set up now. Create a custom object named offer. Create a custom object named offer. So we'll go back up to setup. Go to our object manager. And remember, create a custom object. This one's going to be called offer. The plural name is going to be offers. And let's just go ahead and hit save now. Well, let's see what else it tells us to do. Okay, yeah. So it tells us right here that the record name data type has to be an auto number. Okay, so that's right here. Instead of text, the offer name, you don't need to have a name for an offer. It's more just going to be a number. So what this auto number field does, it's really just going to fill out a field for the name. Or it's going to be the name field, but it's going to populate it with an auto number, which an auto number is just a unique number for every record. So every record, it just gets incremented to the next number. So you start with 1, and the next record that gets created will have an auto number of 2. And the next one will have an auto number of 3. So the first offer you make is going to be 1. Second offer you make is going to be 2, and so on. So I never really understand why this format is like this, but go ahead and just copy the format it gives you to the right here in the example. Don't know why it does that. And just give a starting number of 1. Okay. So it doesn't tell us to do anything else there. Oh, okay, so it actually tells us to give it this format here. So let's scroll back up, and this is supposed to be OF. All right, starting number of 1. Okay, and we'll just hit save. All right, so that's there now, our custom object. It wants us to create a custom currency field on the offer object called offer amount. So we'll just go to fields, create new, and select currency. Go next, and let's just double check offer amount. Okay, and it wants us to call it offer amount. Boom. All right, and just remember to just hit next through all this stuff. We'll get into it in a later episode. Okay, so we've got offer amount here, and it wants us to create another field, a custom date field called target close date. So now we're going to use a different data type of date. So we'll select date, and we're going to call it target close date. Target close date. And we're going to hit next, and save. Okay, so that's the completed challenge. Just to see it, if you want to, we can go. Actually, we don't have access to it yet. I think we're going to create the relationship in the next challenge. So go ahead and check challenge, and we should get, oh, shoot. Alright, so here we are, the admin beginner trail again. In the last video, we did this understand custom and standard objects lesson, and it doesn't say we completed it because there was an error and it says we didn't do it correctly, but we did. So just watch that video. We did it correctly, but for some reason it didn't like the way we did it or something. So we're going to move on to create object relationships. So go ahead and click that. And we're going to learn about lookup and master detail relationships. So go ahead and read through this and So in the last lesson we created this offer object, which is going to pair up to our property object because there's going to be offers on the properties. So let's say you have this property, this 6965 West 8th Street property, and multiple people make offers. This is what we would call a master detail relationship. You could make it a lookup relationship, but it wouldn't really make sense, and I'll tell you why. So a master detail relationship, you usually want to use those when the child object when the child object doesn't make sense to exist on its own, or it doesn't make sense for it to exist on any other property or any other parent object. So let's just go with this example and explain it. So if I make an offer on this 6965 West 8th Street property, this offer doesn't make sense to another property because another property might have a totally different price and my offer doesn't match up, and I'm only talking about this property. When I make an offer on this property, it doesn't apply to any other properties because I'm talking about this property that I want. So it doesn't really make sense for these offers to exist if this property doesn't exist because they only apply to this property. So let's say this house gets bulldozed or something and it doesn't exist anymore and we delete it from our system. We want all of these to go ahead and be deleted too because they don't make sense to exist on their own or to exist on any other properties because they only applied to this specific property. So that's an example of a master detail relationship. So these would be the detail, the offers. They would be the detail or the child objects, and this property object would be the master object. And this is called cascade delete. If we deleted this property, all of these offers would be deleted too if we have a master detail relationship set up. And that's called cascade deleting. So it's like you're cascading down. If you delete this property object, you want to go ahead and delete all of the child objects because they don't make sense by themselves. Okay, so a lookup relationship would be something where these child objects would make sense to exist on a different property. So let's say this is a property, and let's say instead of offers, we had people living in this house. So like when I went to college, I rented a house and I had some roommates. And when we moved out, more people moved in. So the house stayed there. And maybe I even switched houses. So this might not make exact sense. Might not make exact sense, but bear with me. So let's say these are people instead of offers. They can exist by themselves and they can exist in different houses. Different houses or on their own. So if this was a person, I could take it and I could move into the house next door, 6966 West 8th Street or something. And I could just reparent my person record or renter record to the other house or any other house that was in the system. Yeah, and so if this house got deleted for some reason or if it got bulldozed, my renter record would just be floating out there in the open because I'd be homeless. And then when I moved into another place, I would look up the house that I'm moving into, and I would pair myself to that house. So hopefully lookup relationships make sense now too. Okay, so let's go ahead and do this. Create a lookup relationship from, let's just go ahead and do the challenge. Let's skip that stuff. Okay, so on the offer object, add a master detail relationship to the property object named property. Okay, so let's go ahead into our setup up here in the top right. We'll find our, whenever you make a relationship, you want to start on the child object and pick the object you're looking up to. So it said to create it on the offer object. So click this, the offer object, fields and relationships, and we'll create a new relationship. So this is where you have your different types of relationships, lookup and master detail. So it said we want to create a master detail relationship. Go ahead and hit next. This is where you pick the object that it looks up to. So if we're going along with this trail up here, this is exactly what we're doing. We're creating this lookup relationship to properties on the offer object. So we want to choose the property object here from this drop down. Go ahead and hit next. And told us to call it property. Let's see if it tells us to do anything else. Okay. Master detail, named property. Alright, so that one's good to go. Let's just hit next, and next, next, and save. Okay. So there we've got our master detail relationship. On the offer object, add a lookup relationship to the contact object. Okay. So now just hit new again, and we will choose the lookup relationship type. Go to next, and this is where we'll choose contact. Go ahead and hit next. Okay, and next, and next, next, save. Alright, and there is our lookup relationship right there. Sure, we just created that. Alright, so that is the challenge. Let's go ahead and check it. What? Jeez. Alright, it's telling us we're doing these wrong. It's just not true. It's right there. Contact, lookup relationship. Okay, so for some reason it's just not liking my Trailhead. But we just did that correctly, so let's move on to the next one. Work with Schema Builder. So just click this.